In this video, we're going to look at the term interrogative sentence. Here is a definition. An interrogative sentence is a sentence that asks a direct question. Here is an example. Do you know Blackbeard? Here is another. How did Redbeard lose his leg? And another. Shall we promote Dippy or Dopey? Notice that all of these sentences end with a question mark. That is a telltale sign of a direct question, and therefore an interrogative sentence. Here we have 3 examples of an interrogative sentence. But an interrogative sentence is just one of the sentence types. There are in fact 4, and now is a good time to look at them, so we can compare each type with an interrogative sentence. We've seen an interrogative sentence that asks a question. For example, do you like garlic? The second type is a declarative sentence, which is used to make a statement. Tomatoes are red. That is a statement. It's an example of a declarative sentence. The third type is an imperative sentence, and that gives a command. Buy 2 oranges. That is a command. It's an example of an imperative sentence. And the fourth type is an exclamatory sentence, which expresses emotion. I hate onions. Now, look at how each of these sentence types ends. An interrogative sentence ends with a question mark. A declarative sentence ends with a full stop, or a period if you're American. An imperative sentence ends with a full stop, and an exclamatory sentence ends with an exclamation mark. I should just say that an imperative sentence can also end with an exclamation mark, and that just makes the command more forceful. Let's do some more examples. So here is Napoleon Bonaparte. And here is a quotation from him. What is history but a fable agreed upon? This is a question. It's an example of an interrogative sentence. Here is another quotation. England is a nation of shopkeepers. This is a statement. It's a declarative sentence. Never admit a mistake. This is a command. It's an imperative sentence. This island is boring. That expresses emotion. It's an example of an exclamatory sentence. Once again, look how they all end. Interrogative sentence with a question mark, a declarative sentence with a full stop, an imperative sentence with a full stop, and an exclamatory sentence with an exclamation mark. As we now know, an imperative sentence can also end with an exclamation mark, making the command more forceful. The sentence type that we're interested in is the one that ends in a question mark. Let's get back to our lesson on interrogative sentences. Let's answer these questions. Do you know Blackbeard? Yes. That type of question is called a yes-no question. We could also have answered no. How did Redbeard lose his leg? A shark ate it is one possible answer. This type of question is known as a question word question because it starts with a question word, in this example, how. Here are some of the other question words. So we've seen how. There's what, when, where, which, whose, why, and also how many and how much, and some other variations with how, like how long. Notice that most of them start WH. Let's get back to answering our questions. Shall we promote Dippy or Dopey? Possible answer, Dippy. This type of question is called a choice question. Okay, let's look at the format of these questions. Let's clear that. Let's bring our 3 question types back on. We have a yes-no question, a question word question, and a choice question. Let's start by looking at the format of a yes-no question. Let's dive straight in. Auxiliary verb plus the subject plus the main verb plus the remainder. Let's put up an example. Can tigers swim? Well, can is our auxiliary verb, and we have a whole lesson on auxiliary verbs. Tigers is the subject. The subject is what the sentence is about. And the main verb is swim. In this example, we don't have a remainder. So this is a yes-no question. And a possible answer is yes, or yes they can. Let's do one that does have a remainder. Has the crocodile returned to the water? Well, has is the auxiliary verb. The crocodile is the subject. Returned is the main verb. And to the water is what we're going to call the remainder. A possible answer is yes, or yes it has. Of course, we could have said no, or no it hasn't. When a yes-no question features the verb to be, the format is slightly different. It looks like this: the verb to be plus the subject plus the remainder. Here is an example. Are you happy? Well, this is our verb to be. This is the subject, and this is the remainder. A possible answer is yes, or yes I am. Let's move on to the question word question. So, the format is a question word plus an auxiliary verb plus a subject plus a main verb plus the remainder. Here is an example. Why did the train stop yesterday? Well, why is our question word. Here are the other question words we could have used. Did is the auxiliary verb. The train is the subject. Stop is the main verb, and yesterday is the remainder. A possible answer is there was a landslide. Now, the answer to a question word question is always information. You might have noticed that I didn't include who as a question word, and it should be there, but when who is the question word, the format is slightly different, and you can read more about that on the website. Also, when a question word question features the verb to be, again, it is similar but slightly different, and you can read more about this on the website. Let's clear that. Let's move to choice question. The format is auxiliary verb plus subject plus main verb plus choice 1 plus the word or plus choice 2. Let's put up an example. Does John want pasta or rice? Well, does is an auxiliary verb. John is the subject. Want is the main verb, and pasta is choice 1. We then have the word or, and then we have choice 2. In this case, rice is choice 2. Rice, possible answer. When you're learning English, it's a good practice when you answer questions to give some of the vocabulary back that featured in the question. So he wants rice is an example of doing that. And this is good practice as you get used to the question formats. As before, if the choice question is centered on the verb to be, the format is slightly different, and you can read about that on the website. If you're watching this on YouTube, there is a link to this lesson in the description. That is everything I want to say about the format of interrogative sentences. But before we end, I want to cover this point. It's a common mistake with interrogative sentences. Do not use a question mark for a non-question. So look at this. I want to know if it's finished. This feels like a question, but it's not a question. We've just gone through the question formats, and this is not one of them. This is what's called an indirect question. It should not end with a question mark. Remember, only direct questions end with question marks. So this is wrong. Here is a correction. Notice that it ends with a full stop or a period. This is now correct. Here is another example. I wonder if Jackie found her passport. No, this is not a question. This is a statement. You are telling people what you are wondering. It's not a question. So this is wrong. I wonder if Jackie found her passport. This is correct with a full stop on the end. You can read more about this in the lesson on indirect questions. Okay, let's clear that. That is everything I want to say about interrogative sentences, but let's just put up a quick summary. An interrogative sentence is a sentence that asks a direct question. Direct questions are marked by question marks, so an interrogative sentence will end with a question mark. There are 3 types of question: yes-no question, question word question, and choice question. And we've seen those formats. And remember, if your sentence features an indirect question and your sentence is a statement, then do not put a question mark at the end, put a full stop. This one is correct. That is everything I want to say about interrogative sentences. Thanks for watching.